Wall Street had already written the ending. Canada buys the F-35. No drama, no surprise, case closed. That was the safe assumption. That was the expected script. Dear viewers, reality had other plans. Because out of nowhere, Sweden did something nobody predicted. On-screen map. Northern Hemisphere, Sweden to Canada. And in one quiet move, the entire fighter jet narrative flipped on its head. This is not the story anyone was expecting. For months, the assumption held steady. Canada would fall in line. Canada would pick the predictable jet, maintain the status quo, and everyone would move on. That was the comfortable narrative, the one nobody thought to question. But sovereign resolve doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it calculates in silence while everyone else assumes the outcome is settled. And then Sweden dropped an offer so disruptive, so strategically explosive, that it stunned analysts worldwide. Sweden didn't just offer the Gripen. Breaking news graphic, Sweden's proposal to Canada. They offered Canada something no one expected. Not 12 jets, not 24 jets, but a full industrial partnership. Build Gripens in Canada, maintain them in Canada, control the fleet fully, on Canadian soil, under Canadian hands. Not a transaction, not a simple export deal, a complete transfer of capability handed to a country that has spent decades being treated as a customer rather than a partner. Read that again. This is not a sales pitch. This is architecture. This is Canada gaining independence from foreign restrictions and Sweden gaining a foothold as a genuine North American defense partner. Militaries and policymakers alike understood the implications immediately. If Canada accepts this, the F-35's dominance across NATO begins to crack. Not collapse, not overnight, but crack, the first fracture in an assumption that had gone unquestioned for years. The kind of fracture that widens quietly long before anyone admits it's there. So why now? Why Canada? First layer, Sweden needs a North American partner. Animated chart, NATO alliance structure shift. Joining NATO changed Sweden's entire strategic calculus. Membership brought new obligations, new expectations, and a need to prove its defense industry could stand as more than a regional supplier. They need allies who are not locked into a single foreign-controlled system. And Canada, with its vast territory, its exposed Arctic frontier, its urgent need for resilient, low-cost air power, is the obvious match. Two nations, each looking for leverage the other happens to hold, each recognizing in the other exactly what they've been missing. Second layer, the Gripen E was built for exactly this terrain. Cold, remote, unforgiving. Satellite image, Arctic airstrip, frozen runway. This is a jet that can operate from highways, from frozen airstrips, from small hangars in the far north. The kind of dispersed, resilient basing that Canada's geography actually demands. No long runways, no exposed, centralized air bases waiting to be targeted. Just small teams, mobile logistics, and a fighter built to disappear into the landscape between sorties. It's a doctrine as much as a design. The idea that survivability comes not from better armor, but from never being where the enemy expects you to be. For a country with more coastline and more empty horizon than almost any other on Earth. That isn't a footnote, it's the entire point. Third layer, industrial partnership, jobs, technology transfer, the freedom to maintain a domestic fleet without depending on a foreign supply chain, a domestic aerospace revival that America has rarely, if ever, offered any partner. For decades, sovereign nations bought American jets and accepted American terms as the price of admission. Spare parts routed through foreign approval, software updates controlled from abroad, maintenance schedules dictated by someone else's priorities. Sweden is offering something else entirely. Ownership, not access. The difference between renting your own defense and actually owning it. This is the quiet transformation taking shape, and America is not calm about it. Let's be direct. This isn't about fighter jets, it's about influence, and America knows it. Problem 1, control. If Canada shifts toward the Gripen, NORAD becomes a dual fleet system. Not every aircraft American-made, not every system American-controlled. That is a direct erosion of operational leverage, the kind that doesn't show up in headlines but reshapes decision-making behind closed doors for decades. Influence, once it's this quiet, is almost impossible to claw back. Problem 2, contagion. Once one NATO member buys Gripen, others start asking hard questions about cost and dependency. Animated chart. NATO members reconsidering procurement. The Netherlands, Denmark, Belgium, Finland, Spain. All watching Canada's decision as a signal, not an isolated case. A single defection can rewrite the assumptions an entire alliance has operated under for a generation, and once the question is asked out loud, it doesn't go back into silence. Problem 3, competition. A Canadian-built Gripen doesn't just weaken a sail, it creates a rival hub. Training, maintenance, upgrades, all done on Canadian soil for the entire Western Hemisphere. For America's aerospace dominance, that is nothing short of a strategic nightmare. Not a competitor abroad, but one built inside America's own hemisphere, with America's own ally, using America's own doubts as the opening. And the Gripen E itself is no modest offering. This is a data fusion powerhouse hiding inside an unassuming airframe. On-screen graphic, Gripen E specifications. A new IRST system capable of tracking stealth aircraft. An electronic warfare suite built to jam F-35 sensors. The Meteor missile, with beyond visual range reach 3 times that of the F-35's own weapons. Super cruise capability, a 10-minute scramble time from cold start, and a maintenance cost running at roughly 1/4 of the F-35's. For northern bases, for long patrol missions, for genuine Arctic sovereignty. The Gripen isn't the backup option here. By the numbers, it's the more reliable, more affordable, faster to deploy choice. And that is precisely why analysts are now asking the question nobody expected to ask. Why wasn't this Canada's first move? This is the masterstroke. Not loud, not rushed, but exact. Canada didn't reject the American offer with confrontation. There were no press conferences, no dramatic declarations, no ultimatums. Canada let a better offer surface, on its own terms, at its own pace. Strategic patience, not spectacle. The kind of restraint that looks like indecision right up until the moment it doesn't. And the ripple effects are already spreading. Breaking news graphic. Global response to Canada's fighter jet reconsideration. NATO is watching because a Canadian pivot means an alliance less dependent on a single supplier, more diversified, more resilient as a whole. An alliance built on one point of failure is not an alliance. It's a dependency with allies attached. Russia is watching because the Gripen was built with exactly this adversary in mind, and Canada's Arctic approaches sit directly along Russian airspace. A Gripen presence in the north doesn't just update Canada's air fleet, it recalibrates the entire regional balance, quietly, without a single shot fired or treaty signed. China is watching because every crack in American technological monopoly is a data point in a much longer global equation. Every alliance that diversifies its suppliers is one more signal that the old order is no longer guaranteed. One more sign that dominance built decades ago cannot simply be assumed to last forever. This is what a defining test looks like when it doesn't arrive as a crisis, but as a choice. Canada was expected to make the safe, predictable, aligned decision. Instead, Sweden's offer revealed a different Canada, one weighing sovereignty against convenience, independence against habit. The Gripen was never just a jet. It's a signal, a shift in alliances, a quiet challenge to a dominance so long assumed it was rarely questioned. And Canada's next move, whichever direction it takes, will not just decide a procurement contract. It will help define what air power and independence look like for the next generation. What do you think about all this? Tell us in the comments below. See you in the next one.